My name is Lan Anh Ngo. I was born in 1964, and I was born in Saigon City. Well, my father was in the Vietnamese Air Force, South Vietnamese Air Force. So when the war ended, he fled with the Americans military. So he left my mother and 5 of us back in Vietnam, afraid of the communists and the concentration camp because he was in the military. So that's why he fled with the Americans. My mother was pregnant and having my fifth, I say my second sister. So that's why she couldn't live together with my father. And about 5 years after, I think that's they legalized from America to Vietnam. So they have some communication, and they start to allow my father to be a sponsor. So we actually, in our case, it was lucky or fortunate for us that we can come over here legally. My father, after he left, then my mother continued with her job. She worked in a hotel as a front desk personnel, and I'm the oldest of four and become five, as she delivered my younger sister then. So we all in school. When my father left, I was 11, and I'm the oldest, as I say. So in order to get, I guess I want to say blend in with the new government, they do value the kids who do a lot of, actually interesting enough, they do value kids who actually do a lot of community work and volunteer and all that stuff. So I was actually doing a lot of those. I was the leader of, it's kind of almost like Girl Scout in a way. But they actually name it like, if you do well, and they call you like, if you translate it, from Vietnamese to English, it's kind of like the good grandchildren of Ho Chi Minh, who was the past president of the North Vietnamese, of the North Vietnam. Well, like I say, we were happy that once we got communicated or contacted with our father again, and then we heard that, then my mother do all the paperwork, and then I guess in my case it's not as let's say difficult. Once, like I say, my mother is she really well do paperwork and all that stuff, and secondly because we are considered I guess how to call it, good citizens. So it's not too bad. But it was hard because I was in my, I was starting my 10th grade. And then of course, my little brother and sister, and then being so active in academic as well as sports, it's hard to leave the country. And then of course all of my relatives are there, because the only one who's here is just my father. So it was hard too. So saying goodbye to family, friends, and all that stuff. So it was difficult. But the process wasn't too long. Once, like I said, I think it's about a year or so, once from the time when we heard that we can do the paperwork, and my father is initiated, already. And then by the time when they call us, like they just let us know, they say, well, my mother kind of follow up, but they won't let us know when we can go. So they notify us, I think about 2 weeks before the departure date. So like by the time it's even harder. So try to sell the house or leave the stuff with the relative and all that stuff. So so 2 weeks after we get depart, which is late in December of 1980. 1980, that's right. And then so we actually did have to go to Thailand first. Stay there for I think either 3 or 5 days. In a
How do you get there? It's like
fly, yeah, by because legally, we can live there. But we still have to go to Thailand first, but not in a hotel, but we also live in a refugee camp also. But I think by then it's not as bad as before. And besides, this refugee camp is more likely for legally departed people, rather than for someone a little more sad story. So we stay for three to 5 days, and and of course, we also receive aid, from, I'm not sure where it's come from, but we know it's from America. And then after they make sure that we're free of disease and everything else.
Did they inspect you?
Yes, yeah.
They give us a lot of immunization shots.
Yeah, and then they kind of do exam and all that stuff, which is fine. I mean, I think that's now in the medical field, so we see
have
that's
more
that's
shot
a good
than ever
thing.
before we come over to the U.S.
and then after that short time frame, and then we just fly straight to America, and we came to Dallas. So that was our first time in Dallas. It was Texas, and that's where my father was. Oh, he is still here now. Well, I think that he kind of know that this is a warmer state, and it's a big state, and it's interesting enough that in our history in Vietnam, when in learn history, we always say Texas, I guess because it's a big state, and cows and all that stuff. So part of the history and geography that I remember when I learned how to learn in Vietnam about America. So Texas always comes up, yeah, because it's always a well-known state. By I guess to other countries just because of the size of the state, and I would say that how friendly people are too, and the agriculture that Texas has. So that's why I think it's making more to the other countries' history just because of the agriculture part of it as well. And I just remember, the first day when we arrived to Dallas. And of course, we went on the highway. It was, I don't know if you've been in downtown Dallas before. It's so huge. I was dizzy because coming through all the country. I mean, even in Vietnam, we have cars. Not that many, but still. But I always remember the feeling like you get lost in this big city, and then he took us to McDonald's. It's a typical. A presentation with the kids, then.
Your first day in Dallas, you went to McDonald's.
Yes. And then I think that the second day after that, and there's a lot of little things. It was funny because he took us to a restaurant, and of course, one of the things he ordered, I guess not that that's his favorite, but I guess he tried to order things that a lot of people. So he ordered the chicken fried steak, and it's to us. So I was asking him, why is it called chicken fried steak when it's not chicken in there? But those little things is kind of interesting about this. Very limited, and actually not much, as I say, because the living condition is more tough in Vietnam. And besides what my mother believed, since I still have my uncle there and aunts there, and my grandmother still living there, so she left pretty much everything, for them, because at least that we see that we have an opportunity, to make a living on more when we arrive in the United States. So we literally not much of anything, just a basic necessity, and maybe her jewelry that she has, and maybe just some little cash, that kind of things. So we came here practically, I would say, consider nothing. I understand too. And my father, he has to go to work here because he did send us some of the gift to Vietnam so that we can sell in the black market. So we can also living there as well too. So anyway, so when we came over, I would say that we just start from scratch. So again, I was 16 then, and in the first couple months, when we came, so the government did help us to give us some food stamp to use. At the first, I remember that feeling because at first, when I get that and go to the store and buy it, I say, "Wow, that's free money. It's good." I didn't realize what does that mean. I just hear from my father, okay, make some paper and that is what you receive. And then until about 3 weeks after I came to the United States, just because, like I say, we practically start from scratch. So I applied for a job in Kroger, which is a grocery store, as a scanner, checkout cashier. I always remember that feeling because, of course, you have to go to training, and I was in the United States like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I didn't know anything about English. We didn't prepare for that. In Vietnam, if you take foreign language, mainly it's French. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so I kind of just try to learn more likely by observation rather than understand what they're talking about. So I went to all those courses, and once I started and understand what food stamp it meant, I didn't really understand the other part. I just thought, okay, if somebody just nice to you and give it to you, and that's not a system we have in Vietnam. So I thought, well, that's good. We have some free money. But then when I got them, I was like, So to me, after I learned what food stamp means, yes, it's a way to help the one who needs financial. But then I say, we can work. Why do we receive this? So actually, we only used it maybe 2 months, I think. Once I started to go to work, and my mother started to go to work too. So we no longer want to use the system. And actually, to be honest, once I know what that means, I mean, not because how do I say it? I think more likely the work ethic that I think most of us have in our culture. So I think I feel ashamed to use food stamp. I don't know, kind of weird, but I don't know why. So actually, so I don't want to use that anymore when I went here to buy stuff. Just because I think, we can work. Then why do we have to ask for assistance? But of course, because at the beginning, when we didn't have anything. But it's just as a teenager's mind, then once I realized that, and it's just, so I was working after school. And of course, my mom found a job in the hospital as well as a clerk. And from there, we just kind of grow up and try to support ourselves. It was tough. I don't remember when when I came over, so my father enrolled me in high school. And then he actually, because of my age, so I was supposed to be in 10th grade. But I remember the first day when I came, I said, we start with math. So they gave me some math tests. Okay, this is how the system differently. In Vietnam, if you're 10th grade, every 10th grader take the same classes. But if you cannot pass any class, then you stay back that grade. You don't advance. But the system of high school system here is different. You can be 11th grade and you may take advanced courses, versus other students may take the 9th grade courses. So depend on your ability, but you still advance. So anyway, so at that time, so they gave me a test to take to see what class that I could do. Of course, I failed all the English because I didn't know the English. And then math, they gave me, and I was able to do the period number problems, but the one with word problem I couldn't do because I didn't understand. So so they placed me in the math. I think it's actually probably pre-algebra maybe, or even lower than that. I remember it's called Form 2. I don't understand what that was. So in the first few weeks in school, I said, oh my gosh, it's 10th grader. And then I started to kind of learn a little more English. Of course, I bring my dictionary with me all the time. And then there's a French teacher in there. So she actually my translator. So at that time, I still can use my French language, because I do it at home. So she's the one who translates for me, help me to do from American, or from English to French, and that's how I understand. So anyway, the first few weeks in math class, I was like, I wonder, oh my gosh, I'm 10th grader, and I'm learning adding and subtracting and multiplication only. And I didn't understand that just because I didn't pass the test. And I always compare and say, at home in 10th grade, we study more advanced than this. But until later when I found out, because I didn't pass the test, that's why I was in that group of people. And then after that, I learned English and all that stuff, so I started to, the year after, I just take a lot more AP courses and all that stuff. I'm a physician. I'm a family doctor. It's not that easy because I was able to work during college. And again, I chose medical school straight from college just because I know I want to be one already. But there's time when you're in medical school, and of course your friends who graduate at the same time from college, and they have car, they have house, and here you have to pay a big tuition, and then you don't have anything yet. It was pretty tough. It's not that easy. And at the same time, you have to borrow this huge student loan because, I pretty much was on my own.
Yeah,
if needless to say that I helped some for the families here and then. But I take them places because my parents were not able to do those financially. So it's not that easy. There's time when I say, oh my gosh, am I doing the right thing? But looking back, because I know that those debts are on me, they are on my name. If I don't make it, I don't know how to pay back. So I think those are also the advantage. I mean, I remember those times when I look at my colleagues in medical school and say, oh my gosh, all these kids are rich. You know, I mean, they don't have to worry about anything. And I wish I could be like that. You know, their parents pay for their tuition. I mean, not all of them, obviously, you know, but some of them, yeah. So I kind of,
Yeah, we
it
bow
was
a lot
hard.
low.
Yeah, it was pretty tough.
But again, you know,
But I think that's one of the you know, we look at the positive side. You know, okay, that is one make us responsible for what we have to do.